we're going to go over Rome in the 5th century AD. Not my strong suit, because the first time I ever heard it, I went through it and it was just every 18 months they assassinated the emperor and somebody else took over. It was this new emperor, new emperor, new emperor, new emperor. It did not interest me. I'm like, okay, this is just terrible history. They're just crumbling apart. So I never paid attention to it. Well, I have had to go back and get a little stronger in it. We have a doctor of ancient history that attends this class. He has a doctorate in it, teaches it. And we have a guy with a master's in ancient history. And those two decided to go on vacation on me this week.
Oh man, and there's ancient history.
So they've been helping me, especially Cody has been helping me a lot, make sure I'm getting all of it right. But anyway, and I was even thinking about, I told Cody yesterday I've been having lunch with him to go over everything, make sure I'm not messing stuff up. But I told Cody yesterday, I was like, look, I was even really considering getting you to just take this one for me so that you could have a taste of a real teacher, you know? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to show you the fall of Rome. And when you say, when is the fall of Rome? If you ask, and I did this specifically when I first met Cody, I said, when was the fall of Rome? And a historian will just follow that up with, well, what do you mean? You mean this, you mean this, you mean this? And then they'll give you a thesis for the answer. Meaning, it was done over decades, if not centuries. It was this gradual decay that happened over a long period of time. And there's a method to my madness here. If you can see these Revelation verses, it doesn't really fit a lot of the judgment of the city, the harlot city there in Revelation. So we're going to be going over, or we've constantly been going over the harlot in Revelation, Babylon. We're about to get to Babylon in Isaiah. So what I'm trying to show to you is that I have a very hard time saying that Babylon, there in Revelation, and even more so, I guess, in Isaiah, but the one in Revelation, I have a really hard time accepting that that is Rome. And I'm going to show you all of the objections that I come up with. And I think once you see the kind of what's been going on in 5th century Rome, because 476 is the accepted date of the fall of the Roman Empire, which that's the other thing that I really have, maybe not issues with, but questions. Anytime I talk to a member of the church that believes it's something to do with the fall of Rome, I'll be like, can you be more specific, please? Is it the actual city? Is it the Roman Empire? Is it the apostate church, Catholicism? What is it? And they bounce around to all of it, and you can't ever argue against it, because as soon as you say one, they'll switch. And I struggle with that a lot, and there's no real pinpoint in time on when Rome really, really falls. I just watched 15 different videos on YouTube. Rome didn't really fall in 476. And then the next guy, Rome fell in 476. And then the next guy, 476 had nothing to do with Rome. Rome is a city down here. All that stuff was going on up in Ravenna. Nothing happens in Rome in 476 in the city. So it's terribly confusing. And I told Cody, I said, look, I'm going to do my best to explain this, but I almost hope that you come out of this class confused as you can be, because it's a chaotic mess. When did Rome fall? You're going to walk out of here and you're going to say one thing, you're going to say another thing, you're going to say another thing, you're going to say never fell. Somebody else is going to go, it's still there. Right? And that's my point. That's my point. What you read in Revelation, you don't see that. You don't get that. Out of all the different theories of Revelation and who the harlot is, that's what we've been talking about the whole time, is who is the harlot. I say it's Judaism represented really by Jerusalem itself. The other theories are either some future millennial kingdom, some literal earthly kingdom. I don't give any thought to those because they're looking for a kingdom of this world. Christ says my kingdom is not of this world. So I don't really pay a lot of attention to those or try to spend time discussing those. If the person's not going to get that one point, they're not going to accept anything. Because that was just a very basic statement from Christ. The Rome one, Revelation is about some sort of the fall of Rome. I think that their theory is a lot like my theory. Not my theory, but the fall of Judaism, fall of Jerusalem theory. There's a lot of things that are the same. There's a lot of the same overall theme. It's just a couple of the symbols are different, i.e. the harlot. So that's why I wanted to go over this. And you can see I put over here, as we're going to be talking here, you can see that in 1 hour or 1 day, Rome is not destroyed. It's just this gradual decline. And Revelation makes this big point of, you there, you don't think you're a widow, you're just living it up, and then bam, you're gone. And if you were to line up all of the ancient empires and city-states and all of this, the one that gets last place on you're there, bam, you're gone, is Rome. It takes the longest, foreverest time to decay and fall. And some people say it's still not even gone. So I wanted to go through the history of it, of the eternal city. Rome has been, and forever will be called the eternal city. Revelation 11 is not talking about the eternal city. It is not mentioned. The word eternal city is not there. All through the Bible, guess what city is called? The holy city. Jerusalem. Okay? We're talking, the holy city would be trodden underfoot 42 months. And by the way, I can't find any 42-month siege of Rome in here. We're going to go over the several sackings. I don't have slides, by the way. I guess I'm going to put this up on YouTube. You don't want to watch my channel for your history here. I will link it to stuff that it's not. It's not Revelation stuff. But that's the end of it. You want to go study the history of it. There's way, way, way better videos out there. I watched a lot. It kept my attention for hours and hours and hours. You can just go sit there for a day or two and get these guys that are really, really well versed in 5th century Rome. And it's entertaining. It's highly entertaining to me. So what I wanted to start with is kind of teaching or getting you to understand the Danube River. Okay? It's right up here. I don't know what country that is. That's what, Turkey, Hungary, something like that, probably Hungary. And this is never Roman territory. Maybe Trajan or one of those guys extended out there for a little bit, but then it rapidly goes back. I think there's a very short amount of time that you do, but it's a problem area. This is where your Goths all come from. The Goths, the Ostrogoths, Eastern Goths, your Visigoths, which are just Western Goths. So don't get worked up by the word Visigoth. Just think West Germany or East Germany type stuff, right? That's a way for us to. It's terrible if Cody were in here, he'd be, oh, that's terrible. That's the way I do it. I'm not a historian, but that's just what it means. Visigoth, Western Goths, Ostrogoths, Eastern Goths. And they're all just Goths at the beginning. And I want to say the Vandals are in here as well. But then the Vandals, at some point, maybe 3rd century, maybe 4th century, I can't remember, they kind of make this trek over here and end up taking the North Africa area. We'll get back to the Vandals. But they are also these Gothic barbarians. The Romans called them barbarians. Rome was civilized. If you weren't Rome, you were barbarian. Didn't matter if you were civilized or not. Didn't matter if you had law or not. You weren't Roman, so you were barbarian. So what you have is you have the Huns coming in. Who's the most famous Hun? Attila the Hun. All right, now he's not alive yet. This is late 3rd century, so 286. Well, no, that's when the capital moved. You've got late 3rd century. You have. Well, I don't think the Huns are yet. I have to get it correct. See, I told you this is going to get confusing, and I will definitely say something wrong. Just go watch the videos on this. But the Goths are continually crossing the Danube and doing all of this raiding. They're very adversarial at first. Well, then eventually, and by the way, at this time, Rome is no longer the capital. It's done being the capital other than a couple of years, mid-5th century. It moves up to Milan, whatever it was like, Midlothian or whatever, I don't know what the name of the town was back then, but it's today Milan. And then they move it to Ravenna, which is over here on the coast. And that town, I believe, is still there. So you have these Goths coming in, and they're a problem. They're always fighting. They keep crossing the Danube, raiding, murdering, raping, pillaging. They're a problem. This Danube was this major problem for a while. Every Caesar had to deal with it. Well, eventually they come across and they say, please take us in. Can we be a part of Rome? Please take us and save us from the Huns. Because the Huns are coming and they're worse than the Goths. They're this mighty, fearsome warrior group, Attila and all those guys. So the Huns are moving in and it pushes the Goths away from their homeland. So they start coming in, and that's kind of where we are picking up. You've got Constantine. First of all, in the 3rd century, the 200s, you have in Rome what's called the crisis of the 3rd century, where nothing was going right for them. At the end of that, you have Diocletian come in. Diocletian was a pretty strong emperor. He was a great persecutor of Christians, but he was a pretty strong emperor. And after him is Constantine. And everybody in here should know Constantine. Right? Constantine moves capital over here to Byzantium. Renames it after himself, like all great old leader did. All the Alexandrias and all that stuff. So he moves over there. His mom or something like that was Christian, and so he comes out of this Diocletian persecution of Christians. He does an about face. It's okay to be Christian. Has the Council of the Edict of Milan, the Council of Nicaea, because they're fighting the Arians. These guys were all Arian Christian. These guys were all Nicene Christian. You understand the difference in the two? What's an Arian Christian back then?
That'd be like the Orthodox.
No, that eventually turns into East versus West Catholic type stuff. Orthodox would have been the Nicene. Orthodox meaning the original or the
way it's right.
The way it's always been type thing. The Arians did not believe Christ was God. They thought he was just human. They did not believe in the divinity of Christ, all of that. So there's this big Christian fight. Now, they were both Christian, like they followed Christ, but they didn't elevate him to God status. I don't fully get it, but whatever. I think that stuff has been long gone.
So you're talking about Arians, the believers of Arius, not Arians like Hitler, Arians.
I don't think so. I'm not sure on the Hitler. This is
I think they're spelled differently.
You think so? I'm not up to speed on the Hitler stuff.
Okay.
That's not my area of expertise. I don't have an area of expertise, but especially in that.
That sounded good.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, let's go with her. Yeah, I don't think so, but maybe he's tracing back to the roots of those Aryans because they were all Gothic Germans.
Okay.
So same area, maybe. I don't know. But he wasn't Christian at all, right? He was like very anti anything Christianity.
Trying not to derail the class with that, no.
Okay, yeah, let's not go into that. Thank you for that. So they come, and we get to that's in 376. That starts happening, where the Goth starts coming across peacefully. Please help us, please protect us. We want to be a part, settle us. And Rome kind of agrees to it and turns them into, because they've been a problem for forever. Well, by this time in the late 300s now, Constantine's been dead for a while, Theodosius is the ruler over here in Eastern Rome. He's the one that built the great big walls and everything, the Theodosian walls. Well, he's kind of fighting. They kind of just at civil war, which is like the billionth time they've gone into civil war. Well, he employs the Goths to come in. I think by this time I think they're the Visigoths. They're either already the Visigoths or they will soon become the Visigoths. I'm not sure when they actually get that name. And he employs a guy named Alaric. So Alaric and his barbarian horde, he's used in the fighting, he's sent to the front lines, and like half of the Goths are wiped out in this fight. Well, the Goths aren't too happy about it. And they're promised all of this stuff, this land, this citizenship, money, all of this, and they don't get much, all of it, some of it, whatever. They're just not happy. Well, then they give Alaric the title of Magister Militum, which is like general of the army, of the Roman army. So he's Roman, but he's not Roman. His army is, I think it's called something like the Federati or something like that. It's like a federal ally is the way I see it. So very, very close, almost Roman. But Alaric is very unhappy, and so he just gets his army that were fighting for Rome, and they start attacking all over. So in 402, I'm going to keep saying where the capital keeps going. In 402, the capital goes from Milan to Ravenna. Okay. So Alaric is tired of the Goths being treated like the redheaded stepchild, basically. Okay? You know how that goes? Yeah? Redhead. So he starts getting over into the Italian peninsula, and he starts harassing Emperor Honorius. And Honorius, if you guys were my, I don't think maybe one or two of you may have been, when I talked about Pelagius and Augustine in their big fight, any of y'all remember that? This is the emperor that was going on. This is while Pelagius and Augustine are alive doing their debate. The initial birth of Catholicism is what I say. And again, I'm the only person that says it, so don't go look that up or anything. Well, Honorius tries to pay him off. He's gonna come in and sack Rome. Honorius pays him off. They still don't get, because what is Alaric's goal? Alaric's goal is give us Roman citizenship, give us land. We want to be part of Rome. Let us be part of Rome. We're rebelling until you accept us. That's his whole thing. And none of these emperors want to do it because they're uncivilized barbarians. And the Goths want to be part of Rome. Well, he doesn't do it. And on August 24th, 410 AD, you have the first sack of Rome for that century. It had happened a while back, so 700-800 years before. But you have this first initial Gothic sack of the city. There is some murdering, not a lot. The Goths were Christian. The Romans were Christian. They don't come in and they don't just murder every single person in the town. They steal a lot. They destroy a few things. And they leave. From my understanding, out of the 3 sacks of Rome, the most people died in this one. But it still wasn't that many compared to like what we just got talking about Assyria or Nineveh being destroyed, right? Or Jerusalem in 70 AD by the Romans. It's nothing like that. It's, hey, we're going to come in, if you're in our way, we're going to kill you, but stay out of our way, we're just going to steal your stuff. Is the city desolated? Is the city gone forever? Is the city without inhabitants? No. They just lost some of their wealth, and a few people died. How many exactly? I don't know. Could have been a couple thousand. It could have been 15,000. I don't know. I just know that it wasn't 750,000. Wasn't even close to that. It's not known for, and everybody died. So this is your. Oh, so a lot of what was destroyed, a lot of the buildings that were destroyed were the old pagan stuff. Any of the churches, the church of the Apostle Peter or whoever was, whatever churches were there, they didn't touch any of that stuff. They only destroyed to basically loot the old pagan buildings. Why? Because they're Christians. The ones doing the attacking were Christians, and they were attacking other Christians. And so they did not want to murder a bunch of their own people. That was not even though they were different nationalities, that they still felt like they were the same. And you'll see that up in England. Once they start converting all the Vikings, they stop fighting. You know, I'm sure there was some skirmishes here and there, but once those Vikings started accepting Christianity, they came up with Dane law, and they started getting along instead of just massive bloody battle after bloody battle. So this is the sack of 410. This is not the fall of Rome, and yet this is the worst of the three that we're going to be going over. Because Rome just keeps going. The capital was not in Rome at this time. The Roman Empire was not in Rome. Rome is just some old city, some old dirty, nasty city that the emperors were wanting to get away from. They didn't want to be around the Senate. The Senate was annoying to them. So they kept moving the capital out of it. The Vandals. Your second sack of Rome is under the Vandals. That is in 455. You have the Vandals. Remember, the Vandals came over here, crossed. They're in this North African area. The old I want to say Carthage is even their capital. When 3-4 centuries earlier was Hannibal and all of those guys. So it had been a while since the Carthaginians, the Phoenicians were there. So it's kind of this open to be taken place. But they come in, the Vandals come in, and they're a tributary state. You see on here how they're in red on this map. That means they are part of Rome. So the Vandals here, while kind of Roman, but kind of not Roman type things, they're a tributary state. They're under Rome, they're under Rome's protection, they pay taxes, all that kind of stuff. So, for all intents and purposes, they're Roman. Well, Genseric is the next guy. Alaric is the first guy. Genseric is the second guy that sacks Rome. He's this Vandal, and he has a kid, and his kid, let's see, who has the girl, who has the boy? Genseric has the daughter, Genseric's daughter, down here in Carthage, I guess Carthage. He betroths his daughter to Valentinian III's son. So now Genseric, he's not just Rome, he's got his own tributary kingdom. He's Roman. He's now in the royal line. Oh, you can't say that if you're Roman, because kings were bad. So let's just call it an emperor or Caesar instead. It's a king. They're idiots. So, but he's now in the line of succession. His blood is now in the line of succession. His daughter is married to Valentinian, or is betrothed to Valentinian III's son. What's the problem with that? Well, it's Rome, and if you were the emperor in the 5th century, you got killed a year and a half later. He's assassinated. Valentinian III is assassinated. The new emperor, Petronius Maximus, marries this dude's wife. Kills her husband. And so I'm sure she might have been thrilled. She might have not liked the dude. I don't know. Those people were very political. And I think it's all fine and dandy until, what's the guy's name? Until Petronius Maximus says, yeah, Genseric's daughter, you're not betrothed to Valentinian's son anymore. You're betrothed to my son. Mama doesn't like that. Her son just got kicked out of the royal line. And all sorts of problems erupt from there. She's inciting rebellion and basically inviting the Vandals to come sack Rome. Hey, come protect my valor and honor. Come protect the original contract of these two little kids to be married. It's super important. The kids probably don't even know what's up, but you're talking lines of kings and successions here. So it's crazy important. So it's worth bringing a barbarian horde that was Roman, that was not Roman, whatever you want to call it. So the Vandals come and they march on Rome. May 31st, 455, the Vandals knocked down some of the aqueducts. All right, these aqueducts didn't just fall. And then later on, others of them are broken and destroyed and filled with rubble. It wasn't, the aqueducts are cool, right? That's one of the biggest, most famous engineering things of Rome. They're knocked down for military purposes by the Romans themselves. They didn't just fall because they got old. So they knocked down the aqueducts. The people of Rome were super nervous. Oh my gosh, there's this barbarian horde. They're going to kill us all. So they hanged Maximus to kill him. He was trying to flee and escape and leave all the people there to be whatever murdered. Well, something funny happens. How many people die in this sacking of Rome?
Less than the first one, from what you said a minute ago.
Almost none, from what I understand, because this guy named Bishop Leo I goes out of town, Christian leader of the church there, goes out to Genseric, and he says, hey, we'll let you in, don't murder people. Yeah, I think, according to history, there was a few murders. Okay, probably somebody protesting, don't steal my stuff or whatever, I know. But it's very, very few. Go watch anything on history on, and you're not going to find a lot on this one, by the way. This one was harder for me to find information on. The first one and the last one are easy. This one's not so much talked about. But they're there for 2 weeks. They're rampaging, they're ransacking Rome, and they damage the temple of Jupiter. Again, the same thing as the first time. They don't care about all the old pagan stuff. They just wanted what it was worth, its value. But they don't touch any of the rest of the Christian type stuff. All of that stuff is left. The city is not destroyed. The mass population is not murdered. Okay? This is not the fall of Rome. This is not the judgment you see in Revelation. This is nothing like it. All right, fast forward now. Well, not much further. Right after that, you have a guy named Majorian take over as Caesar. Majorian is considered the last of the good Caesars. He was real good. He was he had this general named Ricimer or Ricimer. Some of the guys on TV said Ricimer, some say Ricimer. I'm gonna go with Ricimer, it sounds better. He's got this general. Well, they're going on and he's good. He's like kind of getting Rome back together here. Majorian's gonna be successful. However, Ricimer doesn't like that, or likes it or doesn't like it, doesn't matter, wants it for himself. Ricimer kills Majorian and takes over through martial law. So Ricimer kills this last good general. Ricimer is Gothic. Ricimer is Magister Militum, Roman officer. Ricimer, he captures Majorian, tortures him, beheads him, and he installs, after several months of martial law, he installs his own puppet. Well, that guy only lasts for a little while, and then he's killed he dies. Maybe by Ricimer, maybe not, whatever. So for a couple of years, Ricimer is like, okay, I'm going to find another emperor for us. I'm going to find another emperor. But he doesn't, because he doesn't want an emperor. He just wants to rule himself, right? So Ricimer is doing this. Well, there's some infighting, some betrayals, all of this going on. Ricimer marches on Rome with a barbarian army, with the Ostrogoth army, and they sack Rome again. He's got this Germanic warrior ally named Odoacer. We'll get to him in a minute. He's fighting with him. And this new puppet king that they had set up, they kill him, they cut his head off, whatever, and they kind of take over. So they invade Rome again, and I want to say Rome might have been the capital here. This might have been where, what year am I at? 470? No, I think it was back up in Rome at this point. I'm sorry, ignore that last date. So Ricimer does this sacking of Rome to go get rid of this other puppet guy, and again, it's kind of the same theme again. There's just a bunch of looting because he's Roman. He's like the leader of Rome, and he's going in to take over Rome, not destroy it, desolate it, steal it, whatever. He's just coming in to take it over because he thinks it's rightfully his to command. So it's not this. This is 472. This is 472 AD, and you can see the population. They're getting tired of this. And back up in, I can't remember when it was, under Augustus, maybe under Trajan, I can't remember. The population was well over 1 million. But it had been slowly declining, not in one day or 1 hour or all of a sudden, and never was it, and found no more at all. Never had that status. It just does this gradual decay over time. It takes the longest amount of time to fall than any other empire ever. It was a very, very old empire, and it took a very long time to fall apart.
So the decline in population doesn't come from the war itself, though, right?
No,
No, it's like people leave.
they're tired of it. They just move.
Yeah.
They're tired of Rome. Rome is not what it used to be. They would have trouble getting food, eating, and stuff like that. So they would just like, I'm out of here. This is a magnet for civil war.
Yeah. So the history of warfare in like the world is that this group of professional fighters goes up against this other group of professional fighters, and they're trying to win the servant population.
Yes.
So they don't try to destroy them.
Correct.
Total war, as it's called, doesn't emerge until like World War I, right? It's an aberration in the history of warfare of the world.
Right. You don't want to kill people. You want to take them over.
Well, you know, aqueducts were so important to the Roman civilization. They were bathers where
Yeah.
others were not. So when you destroy aqueducts
You
and that flow of
destroy the
water,
identity of Rome.
they had public toilets. I mean,
Mhm.
the water thing would have been a huge factor.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get to the destruction of this city and the fall of Rome, and again, when you're talking to a member of the church and they believe in the fall of Rome as the book of Revelation, what can you be more specific, please? And they cannot. I'm like, okay, are you talking about 476? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the sacking by Alaric? Are you talking about the sacking by Genseric? One guy says it's the burning of Nero. Well, they hadn't even started persecuting the Christians yet when that happened. So why are they getting punished for something they haven't even done yet? That makes no sense. So what is it? What fall of Rome do you believe in? Because I'm not sure. I don't know which one to address. The only one I really know to address is the city itself. Is taking the most literal stance of view of the harlot there in Babylon, the city. And I'm fine with that if that's the one they want to take. And I'm like, it just doesn't fit. And when we read Isaiah 13, the antitype Babylon, the first Babylon, the original, it doesn't follow that pattern either. So what happens what happens after 472? In 476, this guy Odoacer, he was a servant of a general for Nepos, the last emperor crowned in Rome. Crowned, anointed, whatever, given the scepter. Nepos is deposed by a guy named Orestes. And Orestes, who is also barbarian, I think, puts his son on the throne, because his son is more Roman than he is. So he puts his kid, this teenager, on the throne. His name is Romulus Augustulus. Little Romulus. Little Augustulus, whatever. Because he's just a kid, but the kid is just a puppet of the dad. Well, Odoacer sees this opportunity in the name of Nepos. I said it super facetiously. He says, "Oh, I'm gonna go kill Orestes and banish Romulus Augustulus, and I'm gonna help out Nepos." Nepos has gone into he's either in Dalmatia or Thrace. I can't remember. He's fled. He's kind of not there anymore. Not important. He's just not in Italy. So Odoacer goes. He doesn't go to Rome. He goes to Milan, chases Orestes. Orestes flees to Ravenna, goes to Ravenna, kills him. Odoacer kills Orestes. 476, banishes the son to some town in Italy somewhere. And that's the end of Rome. But is it? Because that's the most widely accepted date. But if you tell a historian that, they will fight you tooth and toenail. Because it's not. It's not. What happens? That's just the end of the emperor. Because Odoacer takes over. He doesn't want to be emperor because he knows his expiration date is 1.5 years. They lasted 1.5 years each and then got killed. He's like, I'm not going to be this. I'm just going to be the king of Italy. I'm going to be subservient. I serve the emperors, either Nepos or eventually the guy in the Eastern Empire. I forget his name, whoever he was. So by doing that, he doesn't make himself a target. So he's able to keep ruling Italy as king of Italy. And how Roman is he? How Roman is he, and how Roman does he try to be? Like almost all the way. They keep the Senate. The Senate appeals to this guy to come in and help. It's either they do it for him or Theodoric, one of those two. The Senate is a fan of his. The Senate is wanting him to do it. The Senate is very okay with it. He keeps the consuls. The Roman consuls were a big thing. They weren't as important as they were centuries earlier. All the government, all the Roman stuff stays in place. All the Roman, everything is Roman. They don't end. It's just that one guy died and they don't fill his office. So is it the fall of Rome? Does everybody die? Is the place desolated? Not even close. It's not the fall of Rome. At least not the kind that the Bible talks about. So what happens to Odoacer? He's king for, 20 years? 17 years? Well, Constantinople wants to kind of reunify the empire and get everything back under one. So they get this guy Theodoric the Great. He comes in, he's attacking Odoacer everywhere, because Theodoric the Great comes over, invites, they're like, hey, let's come to a truce, we don't want everybody to die. They're like, okay, come on, we'll have this big banquet. So this big, lavish, huge banquet, and slit his throat. I think they slit his throat. They killed him some way. So it's which that was a no-no. You don't really do that, but they did it, and they didn't get any trouble to it. And now Theodoric is king of Italy, and keeps all the Roman stuff in place. Senate was now for Theodoric because they changed sides whatever would suit their needs, right? Which is why there was a civil war every other year. All of this is civil war type stuff. This is not some big nation from afar, like the Bible talks about constantly. So he's there, he's doing his thing, and it just keeps continuing. You get into the 6th century. I'm not going to go into that much, if at all, but you have the Justinian Wars. The East comes and tries to take over Rome. You've got this guy Belisarius that's real cool. He does a lot of good stuff. They take it back over. Rome empties out because there's war, it's sieged again, and all the people leave. They're not killed, they just all leave. And then as soon as the fighting's over, they all come back. But the population dips. This is the Justinian War here. And then it starts coming back up. This is when the Lombards come in, another German group that comes in and rules Italy for a while. And then you get into Charlemagne, and it just doesn't stop. Does it fall? I don't know. I'm not educated enough. I just know it doesn't look anything like this stuff.
What, from 125 down to 30, what, in that 200 years between 30 and 60,000, what brought these people back in? Or is that where you're talking about a completely different group?
I think it's still the Italians. I'm pretty sure it's still the Italians that are they're in the area, but it kind of, if you'll notice the big gap here.
That's right.
So I'm not sure of any major conflicts. There has to be some, but I don't know. I don't know the history well enough.
So it could be that, 200 years went by, and new people born, this and that, and they say, well, look, this looks pretty
This
peaceful
big old
here.
cool ancient city.
Yeah, let's just
let's
move
go see what we
right
can
in
make of it.
here.
Yeah.
Let's keep on, drag everybody with us, and
And I think in this area, I think this is kind of when the papal states start getting created. I think I read something on that. And so the Vatican never leaves. The Roman Church, the Catholic Church, which I say has its roots in Augustine in 410, early 5th century, and then it just keeps building steam. And then eventually, I want to say somewhere around here, that's when they give the Bishop of Rome supremacy, meaning they have extended the hierarchy now. Instead of just the churches being autonomous, now, and really the Bishop of Alexandria had supremacy for a long time. Don't tell a Catholic that. They won't accept that, but everybody knows it. Well, eventually, because of the stuff with the Lombards, I think that's when they make the papal states, and they give. I could be mixing up two different events. Again, this is not my expertise. I'm just trying to let you know this is not the harlot. Okay? Any more questions? We will get back. You do not want to miss the next couple of weeks. This is going to be the heaviest, what I think is the coolest stuff. It's the hardest stuff. We are going to get into Babylon. So in Revelation 17:18, you have this judgment of Babylon. But we know it's not literal Babylon because Babylon's gone by then, right? Well, Isaiah 13:14 is the judgment on Babylon. So the two are for sure related, and Revelation will quote Isaiah 13:14. So that's kind of why we're spending so much time on this. And I'm not even done prepping. We're going to get into next time. We're going to start with stuff that's not even Isaiah 13, but it won't take me that long. We'll get back to the slides then too. And I kind of apologize for not being any Bible stuff. This is a Bible class, but I need you to get a feeling for the fall of Rome and how was or was not really the fall of Rome.
I'm going
Yeah.
down the Bible with
The
you.
fall of Judaism, represented by Jerusalem. Yeah, I think that's what I think it is. And anyway,
Court, when you get finished, I got,
okay, I'm done.
talking about the Aryan race from Hitler.
Uh-huh.
That started by a French aristocrat in 1853 somewhere. He wrote an essay, and Hitler got that idea from him, and then it just started then.
Is that what you were gonna say?
I don't know much about the Aryans.
Oh, okay.
Sure, I'll go with it.
So
Okay.
it just started 1800.
Okay, so not technically not the same group. Okay,
I just know that that's where the name Iran came from.
really?
Yeah, it was Persian before that.
Right, I knew.
During World War II, they were allies, and that's why it changed its name to
Oh,
Iran.
okay.
That means Aryan in Farsi.
Didn't know that.
I did notice that some of this that we were talking about, the area is now the modern day Ukraine.
This is this area, right?
No.
Where is Ukraine?
It's up north of the Black Sea kind of area.
Well, that's the Black Sea.
Up the very top of that. Ukraine is way north.
I thought Ukraine was on the Black Sea.
Sorry, not the Black Sea, the Baltic, I'm sorry. The one north of Germany.
Okay. Whatever. This is wrong. This is not Ukraine. I don't think the Russia and Ukrainian stuff comes until like the
Oh, no.
800, something like that.
I would always like to relate, okay, so what? What does that have to do with us today? So I go into today's business because
Yeah,
otherwise.
this is not so much application
Yeah,
class.
I don't care.
Good luck. That's Sunday morning across the
I
hall.
understand today, yeah, all right, I understand Ukraine.
Tom,
Let me ask one more nail in the coffin question.
okay.
So you got the just alleged end of the Roman Empire dates listed here starting at like 410. And at the beginning of Revelation, it says these events will come to pass soon.
Yeah.
Are there,
Yes.
are there dates earlier than this that are candidates for the alleged destruction of Rome if you're a Rome theory person?
No. And I meant to start the class with that.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that, because I just,
You forgot what you
the most stressed point in the book of Revelation is what? The events of that book were about to happen.
Yeah.
Coming soon, the time is at hand.
Yeah.
These things must shortly come to pass. It's over and over and over again. It's like 9, 10 times. And he's not giving the warning to himself. God is outside of time. He's giving the warning to the Christians, saying, get ready. This is about to happen. Time is extremely relevant. So he's not stressing it over and over and over and over again for him to pull the rug out from under their feet. And they're like, okay. You know, they're ready, and then it never happens. It doesn't happen until generation after generation are gone. It makes no sense. Yes, thank you for that. These things that were written in this book were about to happen. It doesn't say it once. It's not a figurative once. It means nothing because God is the 1,000 years as a day thing. No, it's stressed over and over and over and over again. And it meant something to a human being. He's not going to stress it 9, 10 times for it to be irrelevant. Daniel's prophecy is told what? He's told to do what with Daniel's prophecy? Because he's prophesying Christ, the coming of the church, the destruction of the temple.
Seal it up for later.
Seal it up.
Yeah.
Seal up the sayings of the prophecy of this book. John, this 500 years in the future, John is saying, do not seal the sayings of this book. The time is at hand. It is now time for this stuff to happen. This is centuries later that Rome doesn't even fall.